Yes, we can hear you. Thank you,
Yay.
Amy. All right.
Can I see your screen?
And can you, yes, we can hear you. Yes, ma'am. And can you see my screen? Yes, thank you so much, everyone. Awesome. All right, so again, you have handouts available to download. You have the agenda, Janet's meeting notes for when she goes over her stuff, and instructions for registration of professional development, and fast early literacy test administration information. So please feel free to download that information. And you will see at the top of your agenda, there is a click here for a provider appreciation message from the Early Learning Coalition of Marion County. We just thank you guys for what you do every day, all day long. And I'm just gonna check and see if we have any partners who have updates. If you are a partner and you are on the line and you would like to give an update, please raise your hand so I can unmute you.
Are we starting?
We are starting, we are recording.
Awesome.
We are recording, yep. And let me just take a look and see if anybody has their hand up. Elizabeth, no, oh, never mind, thank you.
I was gonna say, do you want
That was a false hand, that was a false
which
hand. up.
staff are here?
And, okay, no partner updates. If the staff would like to go ahead and say hello, starting with Elizabeth.
Hi, Elizabeth Diola, Chief Program Officer.
Michaela Powell, Program Compliance Director.
Janet Honor, Quality One Coordinator.
And that's our staff here around the table. We have many more out in
Who are you?
I already introduced myself at the
okay.
beginning.
Sorry. I'm slow. It's Wednesday. It feels like the third Monday in a row. I bet you all agree with me.
All right, so we're, with that being said, thank you everyone who's joining us once again. And Janet, if you could please kick us off with VPK update.
Okay, so VPK updates, general progress monitoring discussion. To access your Renaissance Start early literacy reports, it's important to note that the last day to do so will be June 30th, 2023, and that is for the fiscal year of 22-23. For monitoring purposes and auditing purposes, it is best practice to make sure you print out all reports for all PM periods, please. And this just backs you up and to make sure you have these documents. If you have any questions regarding accessing your reports, please contact Quality One or shoot me an email and I can help you with that. Okay, so to move on with progress monitoring, you have received emails regarding your PM3. PM3 is due the last 30 instructional days of the VPK class schedule, ending on the last VPK instructional day, including non-instructional days. Providers, you are required to complete all 3 PM periods. They can hear me.
They hear you, it's just low.
Okay, I'm gonna scoot over to the mic. Y'all know my voice is soft. It's okay.
Apparently I was low too.
Okay. So I'm gonna just summarize. June 30th is the last day to pull all Renaissance reports, okay? For all PM sessions or periods. PM3, reminders have been sent out via constant contact and also individually to each provider. It's listing your program start date, the PM3 start and end date, the number of students you have total, the number of students tested, and the number of students not tested. You are responsible and required to complete PM3, okay? Any questions there?
Okay. Okay, so we have a provider asking or stating, I was told that I didn't complete my last PM3, but we have the signature pages printed out.
Okay, so
Does that count?
that does count. That is great that you have that. When we pull our reports show us the status of each provider and where they are at in completing their progress monitoring period, whether you're in 1, 2, or 3. If the report shows us that you have a total of 18 students and 14 were tested and 14 were not tested, we're going to send you an email with a reminder for you to complete the rest of the students for the Progress Monitoring 3. Sometimes when we pulled our report, you may have, the day we pull our report, you may have went ahead and completed the remaining children assessment. So if our report is behind, we ask that you just be patient with us. Notify us that, yes, I have completed my Progress Monitoring 3, and we'll go back. I will go back into Renaissance to do a double check to make sure that it is completed.
And everybody's hearing you just fine.
All right, thank you. Okay, any other questions?
The provider said thank you, and I don't see any other questions.
Okay. Okay, so moving along with VPK, if you are interested in completing and offering summer VPK, please let us know. We want to be able to get your classroom and your calendars set up on your VPK app, as well as making sure that you have the correct teachers with the correct credentials to be able to teach VPK for the summer. Any questions? Okay.
Not as of right now.
Okay. So while we're discussing summer VPK, progress monitoring will have to take place during summer VPK. All PM periods for summer VPK must be completed. PM1 is the first 10 instructional days of the VPK class schedule. This will be moving pretty fast. PM2 is going to stay the same. It is the period of time in a VPK class schedule where at least 40% of the instructional hours have been completed and no more than 60 of the instructional hours have elapsed. So make sure that you are following this schedule. And last, the PM3. With PM3 is the last 10 instructional days of the VPK class schedule, ending on the last VPK instructional day. You have a handout with you that goes over what I just stated. Please keep this handy if you are offering summer VPK. We will be monitoring to make sure that all students have been tested for each PM period. Any questions there?
No questions.
All righty. So we're continuing VPK and we're moving along. The 23-24 VPK app. So please be sure to complete your VPK app, making sure that you have the credentials for each lead, sub, and aid instructor, please. This is one reason your VPK app can get rejected. The quality one provider relations team will work with providers on certifying the VPK app. We would like for all VPK apps to be due by June 15th. That's just so you can have them submitted so we can work with you to make sure that your app is certified in time for contracting. Once the provider has a certified VPK app, we will then move forward with initiating the VPK contract. Please remember that the VPK app always comes before the VPK contract. Any questions there? Okay, good. I'm trying to move along because other people got to speak. Okay. Continuing with VPK, summer VPK class assessments. This is a requirement. So if you are offering summer VPK, you will have a class assessment, and it will be a class composite score for the summer, not the fall term. That those two scores will not be combined. They will be separate. ELC staff will work with our providers to give you a window to get your assessments completed. Please remember that there are no blackout dates with VPK class assessment. There are no blackout dates with VPK class assessment. And continuing with class assessment, I do want to state the importance of class assessment in your composite score for your contract with both school readiness and VPK. This is a contractual requirement. So when you sign your contract, you are acknowledging that you are aware that you are responsible to have a composite score. You cannot refuse any vendor or any ELC staff that comes out to complete your class assessment. You cannot refuse them access or tell them we're not going to have any activities planned today. It is important that you get your composite score and that it is a 4.0 or above so that you are able to contract with us. If you look at my notes, the verbiage is taken directly from your contract for VPK and school readiness. Providers can have their contract terminated if they refuse to have a class assessment completed. Do you want to say anything?
Yeah. Hi, everybody. This is Elizabeth. So one of the things that I want to implore with our providers is just humanity, customer service, and being courteous to visitors at our site. We know how stressful class is for all of you. We are walking this path with you. A majority of us have been observed as teachers or have been observers. We have been in your shoes in some capacity or another. When we get reports from our contracted entity and we hear about some of the behavior and the way you're treating these assessors that come in to visit your sites, it's really important for us to maintain our professionalism. And I really want to encourage you to speak with your staff. If you're not the one that's interacting with these assessors, speak with your staff. We've received multiple reports that many of our providers have been rude, have been discourteous, have been short-tempered. And it does not help the situation. Your staff are going to feed off of that behavior. They're going to feel uncomfortable with the assessor being in there. The assessor is already uncomfortable then coming into your site. They don't want to be intrusive either. So as important as it is for you all to give us your feedback on your interactions, and we address them right away. When there's a concern, we get involved. And those of you that have had situations occur, you know, we have taken action right away. We're not sitting on this stuff, and we take it very seriously. Your experience and your comfort level is utmost importance. But we need to treat each other the way we want to be treated. So I just want to put that out there because there's really no comeback that we have when we get reports of our providers that we're so proud of and we brag upon. There's really no comeback that we have to a rude or discourteous staff member at your site. And I really don't think that that's how you want to be known either. And I don't think it's on purpose. I think tensions are high and stress levels are high, and there's a lot riding on this, and we understand that. So we just need to take a breath. You know, I talked with my son about this. We're gonna breathe in through our nose, not through our mouth, like we're sniffing a flower and we're blowing out a birthday candle. you know, we're gonna try to control, we are in control of our responses. And so I just want to encourage you to keep that in mind as you have visitors at your site.
Thank you. Eve. So now, is there any questions?
Mhm.
Okay, good. So now moving on to school
Well
readiness.
said. It said, well said.
I'll say thank you for it, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
Moving on to school readiness updates. We will begin to initiate the 23-24 school readiness contracts sometime this week. Please pay close attention to the email, a list of directions on how to sign your contract. Also, pay close attention to your closure calendar too. This is where you're going to select your 10 paid holidays. It's important to make sure that you list the correct description of what that holiday is, okay? For our out-of-county providers, please have your home coalition send us a letter of good standing for the 23-24 school readiness contract. Please have them send it to me, Janet Honor. My email address is jhonor@elc-marion.org. I do want to know whether you're out-of-county provider or local provider. If you have not completed school readiness orientation, you are not eligible to contract for the 23-24 fiscal year. With that being said, if you know that you have missed orientation, and we know that you've missed orientation, we're going to follow up with an email to you. We're going to follow up. I'm right here. Okay.
Just hug the owl,
Yeah.
will ya?
We're going to follow up with the email to you and set up a time and date for you to complete orientation. If you do not follow through with orientation, you are not eligible to contract again. Okay? Last on my list, and I'll be out of your hair, provider documents. Please be sure to update required insurance documents. We've been having a lot of issues with multiple providers on this. DCF license, please pay close attention to the hours of operations on your license. Pay close attention to if it says large family home or child care center, because they're mixing up your licenses, okay? When we find these errors, we have to reject your profile and have you update this to correct them, okay? Please be sure that you get these documents updated before or on the date that they are supposed to expire, okay? If there's any gap in coverage, VK providers and school readiness providers will be out of compliance. Okay. Okay. I hope you guys heard me. Have a wonderful day. That's my end.
Thank you.
Are there any questions?
I wish you guys had the visual today. It's very comical.
So there are no questions at this time,
Okay.
and I'm gonna go.
That means nobody heard you. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Or you just did great.
We're gonna go with she did great.
You did great.
Between that and their notes being up on the screen
Yeah,
for people to follow along, we're gonna go with you did awesome.
the notes are great.
Okay. So Miss Michaela, take it away for the compliance
Talk
corner.
loud, girl. Talk loud.
Okay, so today I will be going over sign in, sign out sheets and some of the red flags or trends that we are seeing coming to the office or out in the field. Rule 6M-4.5 states that daily attendance documentation shall be maintained by each school readiness provider based on the terms of the statewide school readiness provider contract specified in Rule 6M-4.610. The provider must record daily child attendance using a paper sign-in and sign-out form or electronic attendance tracking system that is maintained at the provider site to validate the attendance data. For electronic attendance systems, the provider must back up records on a regular basis to safeguard against loss. The sign-in, sign-out forms will vary based on the provider. On your sign-in, sign-out sheets, they must contain the following information: the provider's name, the child's first and last name, time signed in and out, the date, which is the month, day, and year. An authorized signature or electronic attendance tracking system that records the child's date, the child's name, the date, the child's name, an electronic signature, card swipe, entry of a personal identification number or similar daily action taken by the parent or other person dropping off or picking up the child to or from the provider site. Authorized signature, paper or electronic, includes provider designee for children who are transported via school to or from the provider site, or parent or person authorized by the parent, as documented in writing and on file with the provider. Okay, so here are some red flags that we have seen. One is providers signing children in and out, and you're not authorized. Take into account that, yes, school-age children can be signed out by the provider if and when, like if a child is coming, leaving the school, if they come in the morning before school, the parent signs them in. If you take them to school, the provider would sign them out. If you pick them up from school and bring them to the facility, then you would sign them back in, and then the parent would sign the child out. Another red flag is the child name or the parent name spelled incorrectly. They must match the enrollment certificate. If your name is Mary Sue or Mary Thompson, but they call you Tina Thompson, it must be Mary Thompson on the sign-in and sign-out sheet. We can't go by nicknames or anything like that. And same with the child. If the child's name is Timothy Smith, then it must be Timothy Smith, not Timmy Smith or Tim Smith or anything like that. Another red flag is children sign in and out daily at the same exact time every day. We know, I mean, things happen. I mean, I know sometimes you can, but a child signed in 801, 801, 801, 801, 801, 801, signed out 55555. It kind of would seem to be that this is being done one day, all at one time. Siblings must be signed out, in and out individually, not on the same one for 3, 2 or 3 children. Another thing we are experiencing as a question.
Yes, ma'am. The question is, what if our system is down and we staff clock the students in once the system is up?
If your system is down, that's why it states in there that you should have a backup. So you should be doing possibly a sign in, sign out. If something is wrong with the system, use a paper sign in and sign out so that the parents can sign in and sign out the children.
Thank you.
Another issue would be sharing of parent codes for sign in and sign out. It is a unique identifier for the parents and for the providers, so you should not be sharing those, whereas someone can sign in the child for the parent or things of that nature. And everyone that's signing the children in should be authorized at the provider, and also no minors should be signing children in or out.
Yeah, because these are legal binding documents, right?
Correct. Also, another red flag would be children sign in or out on days coded as a holiday or scheduled closure day. We have seen, I don't know if there's an issue when you are doing it, but if you were closed on the 2nd, then there shouldn't be a sign in and sign out on the 2nd if you were closed. Just pay close attention to your sign in and sign out sheets, hold your parents accountable. You can speak with them in reference to your contract and things that we expect from you. So in turn, you would expect that from your parents to make sure that they are completing the sign in and sign out sheets appropriately, so that you are being reimbursed. Again, that's just a few red flags. If you have any additional questions or need any additional guidance or assistance, I am always available. You can email me a question.
We have two.
Okay.
When the bus brings a bus load of children from the school, it cut off on me. Can they be batch signed in?
No, the children have to be signed in individually.
Your teachers can sign in there,
Yeah.
and the parent signs them out at the end of the day, or
Yeah.
caregiver individually.
Mhm.
Okay. And then, hold on, they're coming in. I know you mentioned no minors, but what if they're under 18 with a driver's license and we have a copy of their license?
No minors can sign the children in or out.
So remember when we said this is a legally binding document, and the purpose of a sign in and out sheet is accountability. So if you have a minor child checking out their sibling, their younger sibling, that minor child is now taking custody of that child. So basically you as the provider are turning them over to a child that cannot be legally accountable for the whereabouts of this other sibling. And so should something happen, the liability is huge, and it would fall back on you as the business owner, as the childcare provider. So it's a really big deal. These sign in and out sheets, it's more than just getting you paid. I know that that's what we wrap it around, is you guys getting paid, and we contact you, or we are returning them back to you for correction. It's more than that. It's a liability to you if you release a child to a minor or to somebody not in the system and you don't have a backup system for who picked them up. Because what if they take off? What if they abscond with the child? Nobody wants that on their conscience, and you work too hard in your business to let something like that happen.
Okay. I'm not sure if this is a question, but the statement reads, our VPK children are dropped off every day at 8 a.m. and 12 p.m. every day. I think I need a little bit more if that's an actual question. There's another question here. And the person bringing the child should be on the contact list, question mark. We do not have authority to say who can drop off. However, we do limit the children to be picked up by only the people on the list.
Correct.
Correct. So
that is-
yes, it
so
should
that
be the
is
people,
correct.
yeah, on the list.
Yeah.
It's another liability issue.
Absolutely. And drop off is different because you're taking custody of those children at that point. So however that child gets into the doors of your building, they need to be checked in, they need to be signed in. And you are liable for the protection and education of that child from the time that they walk through that door till the time that they leave.
Okay, so I got a follow up to the statement that I wasn't sure was a question. And it's clarified in this manner. We had this problem on our sign in and out sheets, but they are released by the teacher at noon and let in by the teacher at 8. So I am asking, do we tell the parents to write a different time than when they get there? Because apparently that's like, if I'm understanding this correctly, they're going into VPK into the classroom, but they may have been there.
They were already there before.
They were
VPK
already there
started.
before, right? So the
Mhm.
VPK is all starting at 8, but they were already there
Mhm.
on site prior to that. Is that correct, Ms. Sarah?
You want me to take this one? So with that, so your wraparound services would kick in play, and that child would be marked in simultaneously for VPK, even though they're there before the hours start, they're there for VPK. So that sign-in sheet would account for the sign-in for VPK as well as your wraparound program at that point. So you would be marking them as present, and your sign-in sheet would back up that the children were already there when VPK started. So then the next piece would be dropping off or more transition from your VPK program to your aftercare program or your wraparound program. It is okay for your teachers to check those children into your school readiness program then, because you're closing out your VPK attendance for that day. So from there, your teachers would check the children into your wraparound program, and the parent or caregiver would then sign them out at the end of the day or when they're picked up. Now, if they're not going to a wraparound care program, they're being picked up, they need to be signed out not by the teacher, they need to be signed out by the caregiver or the parent.
Okay, and then we had a follow, okay, these children come in at 8 a.m., sign in at 8 a.m., then they are picked up at 12 p.m. The problem is the parents are signing in and out exactly at those times.
That is an individual technical assistance that you need to do with your families. I don't know if you need to stick a clock right by the sign-in sheet or whatever, but it does need to be, it sends a red flag. And it's not just a red flag for our team, but it's a red flag to the state, to the reviewers that look at the documentation, to the governor, whatever that means to anybody, but it's, that the state has access to all this. And so it sends a red flag if somebody's being dropped off and picked up at exactly the same moment every single day. So we want to be really careful with that.
Okay, and then this is a follow-up to the question about the buses. The system does them by batch for the school they come from. So are you saying we have to go to each child and sign them in, which takes a lot of time? When they
Okay.
come up the bus,
So
from what I understand.
I think we do need some more information on that situation, but when a child is coming to you from, like, let's say a public school site, the public school, that's a whole different ballgame for us, that we work directly with them. As a matter of fact, we have a meeting with them this afternoon. So when the bus drops off, you should be checking children in individually when they get to your program. So they're really, if the school checks them out in a batch, that really doesn't impact you at all. You're checking them in when they get off the bus. So if there's a child missing, you definitely want to know. So hopefully that answered your question.
Okay. All right, and okay, we will do some follow-up on that one. We're gonna do some follow-up on that one. Appreciate your patience. Okay. If there are no other questions.
It is my turn.
Go ahead.
Good?
Yep. go
Okay.
ahead.
Hi, everybody. This is Elizabeth again. I have on the actual agenda, I'm going to do a workforce and an ARPA update. Before we get to that, though, I want to make a couple of announcements. So we've recently had some transition in our office. Our Read Aloud 15 program, which some of you have buckets of books, or we call them lovingly Bobs, in the office. Some of you have those on site. Those buckets that were previously supported through our Read Aloud 15 program, where we would send books out or have a staff refill them for you, or you could come pick up books to put back in your Bob if you have one on your site. We will no longer be supporting that program for our VPK only providers. And the reason behind this is the funding comes from the school readiness side of things. So we're having to tighten down on where our funds go and what programs it supports. So if you are a school readiness provider and you have a bucket of books, we will continue to support you. However, due to our staff being all over the place, doing class observations, and we still have openings, we will not be able to deliver those books to you. So if you are a current Read Aloud 15 partner and you have a bucket of books at your site and you are a school readiness provider, you can still request refills of your books. You just would have to come pick them up from us. And you would send an email to Susan Dewey. So it's sdewey, SDEWEY @elc-marion.org to request a book refill. So once again, just to summarize that, we will no longer be supporting this program through for our VPK only providers, and we unfortunately will not be able to give any new buckets of books out to anybody. The other announcement that I need to make is this also goes back to our team and being just inundated with work and being behind. You guys have heard me ask for grace multiple times this year, and I continue to ask for it as we wrap up this fiscal year and head into the new one. One of the things that we have to stop doing is that we will no longer be offering in-service training hours for these provider meetings. We are not able to fulfill your requests timely, and it is causing stress on your part when you're requesting them from us, and it's causing stress on the part of our team to fulfill them when a DCF or an accrediting agent shows up at your door asking what trainings you've been to. We do offer multiple options for trainings throughout the year. We encourage you to enroll in one of those to meet those hours required by DCF. Our staff also support that, and really we still have the program where you can get reimbursed for it. So it really doesn't cost you anything either. I hope that you understand this decision, and this decision was made by me after watching some of our providers and my team really stress out over trying to meet requirements that we really need to go about meeting in a different way that's already available to you. So if you have any questions or concerns about that, please shoot me an email directly, and I'd be happy to respond to you, and we can find another way for you to get your training hours every year. I'm going to pause and see if we have any input or questions.
We have thank you, Sam, very much for sharing that information. He has FYI, a great resource for books is Ollie's. They have hundreds of high quality books for $2 and $3. This, of course, is not a recommendation or promoted by the Early Learning Coalition, but that is just one provider sharing a resource with the rest of you on this meeting. So thank you very much.
That is great. Ollie's does have some great selections of really inexpensive books. And if you are registered as a nonprofit, I believe that you might even be able to ask them for donation. I think you have to write to their corporate, but they may be willing to support donation of the books to your site.
And that's it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I appreciate you all understanding as we develop and change and things change, we have to adapt, and we appreciate that. So, speaking of adapting to things, we're all adapting to the Workforce Initiative and the ARPA grants and the World Class Workforce Grant. I think we have a couple of our staff, or I know at least one of them had logged on today, but I just want to send a shout out and virtually introduce you to our 2 temporary staff that we have brought in. These ladies are amazing. Drea Sherwood is really the one working with most of you on your CQI plans and your different grants that you're applying for through the Workforce Initiative. And Lizzie or Elizabeth Bench, she is also working in that capacity, but she's going to be transitioning over to the more accounting side so we can get you paid. When you talk to these ladies, please give them grace because they are training with me, and you know that's like working with a rabid squirrel sometimes, and we're all over the place and we're just bouncing from one thing to another. And I'm really proud of them and our team and of you all for the efforts that you've made. What I want to tell you though is that the grants are still available. So I did send a due date email out last Thursday, just covering some due dates. And I'm sorry it was too late for the ARPA round 2 final payment reminder. The due date for that was last Thursday by midnight. A majority of our providers did apply for that grant. If you'll recall, that's the one that was supposed to be, that was a whirlwind application. It was supposed to be released early in April. It didn't happen. It got released on April 27th. We talked about it at our last provider meeting and included a couple of things in different, I think, in different emails. But most of you did apply, and for those of you that didn't make it into that, I'm sorry, but stay tuned because we did hear that there is more ARPA money coming. We don't know what that means, so please don't ask us what that means. We don't know what that means or when right now. But the email that I sent out last Thursday, it came directly from me. So if you didn't get an email from me, let me know and I'll forward it over to you. It has the due dates. The Workforce Initiative deadline for application number 2. This is the application that you can apply for with your staff so that they can receive reimbursement for and just an acknowledgement for the years of dedication in the early childhood field and the trainings that they have taken, the certifications or degrees that they have. That one is due, the application is due May 31st by midnight. Let me pause. Do you have any questions so far? Okay. The next deadline is June 15th by midnight. That is the Workforce Innovation application number 1. That is the application if you paid for background screening or drug screening for your teachers that you onboarded since July 1st of 2022, you can have, there is some reimbursement funds available to you as long as you fill out the application and upload the backup documents. Those 2 applications go through your provider portal through the document library. There are specific folders there for you to upload that. The email I sent last week also included those applications in case you needed them again. Just checking in for questions. Good?
Yep, we're good.
Okay. The next deadline has to do with the
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, let me pass.
Did you get, it just came through, I apologize.
It's okay.
Did you get an answer about the drug screening being a requirement for that, even though many of us don't do that?
Correct. The drug screen, they're not a requirement any longer. So thank you for asking that question. I did not clarify that. But yeah, it can be either or both. And then we did get, while we're on that subject, we did get a question about what about my advertising costs? Because you said, and they're right, I did say that back when we were first rolling this out. I did say there would be money for you to cover advertising costs and different things where you were trying to recruit new staff. So how we covered that was we tried to make this as simple as possible. How we covered that is we made sure that the reimbursement money that's coming back to you was well beyond the cost of the background screenings or drug screenings that you would pay for. So it all inclusive to what it costs you to onboard a staff member. So basically we're reimbursing $500 per staff member with a maximum for your capacity, based on your capacity. So that would cover the onboarding costs of each staff member. But yes, just to talk about that drug screening piece again, it is optional. Once I learned that you all weren't required, and that is something after me working here for 19 years and being in this industry, I just assumed we all had to have it, and we did not, and that's what I get for assuming. But yes, that is optional.
When will the funds from Workforce Initiative come to the individual employees?
So we are working on that part. It's partially why we hired Lizzie Bench and partially why we are, not partially, but that we are working towards that. The anticipation is that the last week of May, people will start to see direct deposits. Now, if you have staff that don't have the capability of receiving a direct deposit, that's okay. However, it will take a much longer time frame for them to get a hard check mailed to them. So if you can encourage them to open an account to allow a direct deposit, then that is highly encouraged for quicker results. But the first payments will start rolling out the last week of May.
For workforce number 2, the staff is awarded the funds.
Yep.
Or is the funds going to the provider?
No, the staff get the funds directly. So when you hear from DREA, and typically it's DREA that's reaching back out at this point, she is saying, I need a W-9 and a direct deposit form for each staff member. That is because the staff get paid directly.
That is all I have for questions at this time.
Awesome. So for world-class workforce, that is the training that is going through the web author system. We've been working with the majority of you all. There is still a lot of funding left for you if you want to participate in that. We have the deadline for trainings to be completed at this time is June 30th. If we get an extension from the state, we will certainly blast that out all over because, and we would love that. It would give more people the opportunity to participate. So the trainings have to be completed by June 30th. And then the last deadline with this is July 15th. July 15th is the last day you have to upload all of your training certificates for any of these world-class workforce trainings that you've participated in. So typically it would be, I mean, it can include your class trainings that your staff are taking. It can include, we have a lot of providers taking Bertelsmann education training. All of those training certificates, though, must be uploaded no later than July 15th at midnight. Otherwise, for those of you that received the CQI grant, you may have to pay funding back. And that is the last thing we want to do. So let me pause because I see Lily's typing away over there. She must be answering questions.
I haven't submitted the answer yet.
Oh, okay.
Hello Workforce number 2 recruitment. What is the staff hire date?
There, for Workforce Initiative, for the application number 2, which is about your staff, there is no requirement for a hire date. They just have to still be working with you. So you might have, some staff that have been with you for 10 years, and that's absolutely amazing, and they would qualify for that grant. They just have to still be with you to receive those funds.
And the other question is uploaded where?
Uploaded to the document library. That's a little bit different than the other place where you upload like your license and everything else. Off the top of my head, I don't know how to tell you to get to that. But if you need help navigating to the document library, just shoot an email over to ARPA, ARPA, at elc-marion.org, and Drea or Lizzie or myself. There's multiple staff that get that email. We will respond and give you some directives or call and walk you through it. Sometimes it's easier for me to say, what do you see right now over the phone, and help guide you through. But there are 2 folders in the document library that talk about, or that are identified for the Workforce Initiative applications 1 and application 2.
Okay, we've got several questions coming through. I can show you guys after Elizabeth's done with her spiel where to sign up for training. That's actually on the agenda. Okay, so this is if we changed payroll companies, but an employee was with us since 2008, can we just submit the last 6 years payroll to prove employment?
My suggestion would be to use the verification of employment form. So I sent that out. I believe that's also in the email I sent last week. If it's not, I can resend it to you. Or if you need the verification form, it's literally a form. You do have to complete it fully, but it's an easy form for you to verify your staff's employment. So you don't have to go back hunting for all those years. But it does have to be our form if you're going to go that direction.
Okay. Did I read that there is a webinar to sign up for guidance on completing the grants? There is not a webinar, but there is a recorded YouTube.
It's me again for like an hour and a half.
And
we split it up.
And we split it up. There's, and I can actually show you because I had it pulled up. That was something I was going to show you guys. So here you have our provider appreciation. And then on the same link as our provider, the same YouTube link to get to our provider meetings, you have the workforce grant and the world class grant. So they're split up purposely so that you guys can actually see, because it can get confusing.
You can see how we feel by the looks on our frozen faces on this when you start.
But you can watch these, and this takes you step by step through all the decision trees and everything that has been emailed to you.
And honestly, Drea and
right here,
Lizzie
so-
are doing a great job with being able to answer questions. And if they don't know the answer, they come and corner me and we get the answer for you.
And here's a little YouTube link in case you don't need to know what that is.
Yeah.
Okay, so, let me get back to these questions. We are definitely active today, but we have only 10 minutes left, so I'm gonna try to, if we don't get to you, please know that we'll have someone contact you, okay? Okay. And top of the provider portal screens have Business Pro.
Okay, it sounds like you're trying to navigate to your library. Let me connect with you after the meeting and we'll figure it out.
Okay. All right. And then, okay, so now we have for CQI, the funds have nothing to do with the training plan. The funds can be used on anything as long as it's listed on the application, is the question.
So with the CQI, that's a different beast. You do have to have a training plan approved if you're planning on purchasing training. So that's basically any training outside of class. The class trainings we can give you at no cost. But if you're planning on purchasing training, that does need to be a part of your training plan. It needs to be listed in the budget. But other than that, it can be used for any business related expenses that are allowable. So I want you to think back to our ARPA meetings when you used to come in and we would do the applications with you. These are federal funds. They do have to be used for specific things. So your best bet is to use them on your staff, maybe upgrades to your building, maybe materials for your classrooms. Those are the biggest things.
Okay. And then just clarification, the documents are to be uploaded to the document library or web author?
So for the workforce initiative, that's applications 1 and 2 that you've heard us talk about. Those go to your provider portal in the document library. The world-class workforce, which includes your recruit and retain grant, your health and safety grant, your intro to class, your child success, CQI, upskill director, those all go through web author.
Okay. And- Perfect.
Yay! Take it away, Lily.
Alright. No problem. Okay, so, speaking, no worries, no worries. Oh, it's all good, y'all. So speaking about all these, grants that have trainings related to them, the world-class grants specifically, I have been getting a lot of questions and about where do I go to register? Where do I go to register? So in your handouts, I literally have instructions, step by step with pictures. And I put instructions that also include when people are looking at their phones, because a lot of people tend to register for these trainings through their phones, and then it's very hard to see things because you have to scroll down so much to get to it, especially the way our professional development page is set up. You have to scroll down to find the training you want to register for. So the instructions are on here step by step, but it all starts, everybody, I don't know if you've started to see the trend, but everything starts on our website. Okay. You have, and I have to move some stuff because I'm using here we go. You can go straight to the professional development page right here. If you know exactly what you want, where you want to go and how you want to do it, you just go straight to the professional development page. You have to scroll down, and this is from a laptop view. So if you're on your phone, guess what? You got to scroll even more.
Yeah, it'll be a little bit different.
Yeah, it's gonna be a little different. And guys, ignore this time zone thing. I've had somebody sign up for a class and they thought this was the time the class was being offered. It's just letting you know that we're using the Eastern time zone. It is not how the class is offered. The time that the class is offered is in this information here. It tells you that it starts at 8:30 a.m. and it's 3 hours and 30 minutes. Okay, this is where you sign up. Here's all the names of the classes in the descriptions. And you do have to scroll down to get to all the classes. I have applied the observer training class here for the director observer grant. And then the rest of the classes are up to June 10th, but I'm gonna be adding more this before the end of the week. But just a heads up, you can also go to our calendar, and all these lovely things in orange, those are all related to providers. And it also has all the classes there so that you can see the whole through June, when each class is offered and when it's available. And then you can click on it, continue reading, and get details. And if it's not registered through us, if it's a DEL course, the link is right here. And it takes you to the DEL website in order to register. Now, please understand that even though our calendar offers it on that day, if that class is filled up for that day, if it's not available, it's not going to be listed. And you'll have to choose from the ones that DEL has available and listed, because they can only do 16 people per class. So I just want to make sure you guys understand that. And I'm going to stop and see if we have any questions. No questions. Okay. So I do have a surprise for you at the end of this. At the end of this meeting, this provider meeting. The good news is that you will not see a survey. The survey has been removed. I was successful in removing the survey. The other surprise is you may or may not, depending on how well I did, have our provider appreciation video come up at the end for you guys to enjoy, because we really, really do appreciate you. And I want to make sure everybody gets a chance to see that, and so that you can know how much we care. And that is it for me. Oh, I almost forgot. There is no PD podcast this Friday. I want to thank my faithful followers, the few and the brave that have been sticking with me since I started this journey on providing that platform. The platform was originally opened so that directors have a place to do their presentations when they try to renew their director credentials. And it's also a place to ask questions and, have conversations about professional development opportunities and things that we don't normally get time to talk about on our provider meetings. So, but this Friday is canceled, and I'm seriously considering, because there are so few participants, whether or not it's something that is needed. So I look forward to any feedback as to whether you think it's something that we should continue to the next fiscal year.
And we're developing a survey. I said this last month, and I'm still working on it's becoming a little bit. I'm getting feedback from a lot of people on the questions that we're going to ask you so that we can plan for next year. But we'll include that one on that survey too. But feel free to give Lily your feedback, because a lot of work goes into that, and we want to make sure it's beneficial and that we're meeting the needs of you all.
And we do have one question. CQI is only for sites with a composite score of 5 or higher. Correct. That is correct. 2 points to the provider with the correct answer.
I feel like that was more of a statement than a question, and you are correct.
All right. If there's no other questions, to those of you who had questions that did not get answered during this meeting, please know that I'm relaying those messages to the people who can answer them for you. So look forward to that follow-up after the provider meeting. And I thank you again, and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Enjoy the video.
Hold on, we had a last minute. Okay, I'm gonna follow up with you after the meeting. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of your day, guys.